Hi, I'm Ned, and I've started streaming. This is a recording from my live stream over on twitch.tv/NedMakesGames. I'm live most Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. US Eastern Time. I'd love to see you there. Okay, hey everybody. Hope you've all had a nice day today so far. Yeah, mine's been pretty good. I'm feeling a little tired, I guess, from a busy week, but I think I can get a little bit more programming in before the weekend. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to work some more on my grass system. We did a little bit last stream, but I wasn't really expecting to, so I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. But I've been thinking about it, and I think the first thing I want to try to do is clean up a lot of the code, because right now, well, I wrote most of the stuff when I was still researching the system, so probably some of the naming isn't consistent, so I'd like to go fix that. But also, you can see I have like a bunch of different versions of every shader, and so I'd like to kind of consolidate them so that they can all be in one shader, or at least be a little bit more... Yeah, so I kind of like it to be all one shader file, but then be able to just switch between these pass files as needed. Because really there's a lot in common, so... But I guess we'll have to kind of see. Yeah, also, I don't really... There's no instancing here, although I guess you don't really want to instance, you know, these grass shaders anyway, but okay, so I think we'll start there. Okay, so I just gotta figure out... Okay, I guess the best place to start is maybe the soil shaders, which they're the shaders that... There's... How the system works is there's like a fake camera. I can probably show better when I go into play mode. That... okay, there you go. Now you can kind of see the grass. But yeah, here you can see there's like a fake camera that's above the world, and it kind of raycasts down onto the terrain to see where it should spawn a grass blade. And that uses what I've called a soil shader. And but I think I might change that name too, which is kind of a reason why I want to clean everything up. And then that basically figures out data for each grass blade, and then I have a separate shader that actually draws the grass blades. So it's kind of a two-pronged process. And there's also other C# scripts that control the camera and then do like the extra rendering passes and everything. Okay, so... And to make things more complicated, I have... there's basically two ways that you can shade the grass. Either you shade the grass in... like in the soil shader, so basically the grass has the same lighting for the entire blade, which is the most performant. But then you can also shade the grass in the graphics shader. So basically there's two versions of each soil shader for that reason, and I'd like to definitely combine them into one if possible. So okay, I'm trying to see the best way to kind of organize everything. I think I'll just make a new folder in here, and I'll just call it grass. This will be for all the shaders for the grass system. And then I'll have a folder for, I think I'll call these sprouting shaders instead of soil shaders. And then I'll have a for the material shaders. Okay. So we can start with an unlit shader file, and I'll call this sprouting texture based. I guess that's fine, because there's a few different ways. I want to make other like sprouting shaders that work with like vertex colors so that you can paint grass with like polybrush. So that's why this one, but this one uses textures. Okay. So the difference between the instance lit and the mesh lit. Oh, I see. So this texture actually, or this shader actually has like okay, that's interesting. So it has an actual like normal shader on top, so that you don't have to have like a separate object for the visible part of the soil. Which I guess makes sense. Because if you didn't have that, I mean, you could have a shader that's basically only the grass sprouting part, but in that case, it would be invisible. So what you'd have to do is kind of duplicate the terrain model and have one that has the sprouting shader and then one that doesn't have the sprouting shader. Okay, I'm not sure why these edges are curved. I don't know. I don't know where I got this model. Whatever it is, it could definitely use some normal smoothing, huh? So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm distracted. It's not that you can really even tell. So what would happen, like if I just, well, if I disabled this? Oh, okay. Well, this system, okay. This actually uses that, what I was just talking about before, where it has two separate terrains. One for the one that's invisible, just does the grass sprouting, and then one for the visible part. I mean, it is kind of nice because it lets you decouple the two different, like decouple the grass sprouting from the actual visible part, but okay, so maybe I could probably start with my shader I just created, the HLSL shader. Okay. Let me find it real quick. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to press that button. Okay. Okay, so these scripts are, this shader is not complete either, but oh yeah, this is on the, oh well, it doesn't matter. I was gonna say this is on the 2021.2 version, but that's fine because the shader should actually work for both. Oh no, let's not do that. Okay, so I don't need the custom lighting because I'm not going to do custom lighting for the soil part. We'll just do a regular old PBR based renderer for that. But we will need most of this other stuff. Okay, I guess I'll leave that for now. And okay, I guess I should rename everything here. We could almost just reuse the actual files from URP, but I'm not sure. Like that, yeah, like the old URP's default lit files, but then the shader I'd have to make sure uses all the same what am I trying to say? Uses all the same like property names, which I might not want to do. Okay, so the only other thing is, do I need to have a specific oops, this is the wrong thing. Like an editor for this. I guess I'll just bring it over in case. Okay, and then lastly, could probably start with the shader file here. Okay, so this, let's just call it that's fine. Okay, I guess I need to clean this up a little bit. So this is mostly all for transparency, which I don't really think we're gonna we need to worry about, because why would you have transparent? Yeah, transparent soil. I do have a... Yeah, I'm still thinking that you might want to have a version of this that doesn't have like any visible component or visible passes, but that'll be really easy to add. So PBR. Yeah, it's kind of annoying because there's going to be a bunch of different combinations of like an invisible or like a PBR and then like a texture based sprouting or whatever, but I don't know. I think this is fine. I guess you never really want to have PBR and then, well, I don't know, maybe. Like a visible that's physically based, but then vertex painted grass. I mean, I guess it could happen. Anyway, let's see, what do we need here? So this is a header for the yeah, and there's no transparency. Hi, Rocky Felix. What's PBR? You know it's a material, but not why. It's the most common one you hear about. It stands for physically based rendering, and it's supposed to be, you know, kind of like realistic materials, but basically it's just kind of a standard way to render, I guess I feel photorealistic materials. So like when you hear people talk about like metallic, and then smoothness, that's all has to do with PBR rendering. And it's the normal algorithm that Unity uses in its lit shaders. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, again, there's not going to be... Okay, well, I mean, I could see some reason why people might want to have transparent soil, but I think I just won't support it in this shader just to keep things simple. I don't really think there's a reason for it. Okay, so yeah, normal map, that's good. Okay. I was thinking you didn't have... So let's see, is the inspector, does it only... Okay, all it really does is... Okay. Yes, this is emissive. But again, we probably won't have emissive lighting for soil, so I'm not going to worry about that either. So basically this... I don't actually need this inspector because it just handles transparency and this little thing here. Okay, but I guess I'll leave it. I'll keep it around, but in case we do need it for something, but I'll just comment it out for now. I guess I need to leave this uncommented because I have to call this base on GUI. No problem, Rocky Felix. Something I want to do, I'd like to do a tutorial about kind of going through how the algorithm, or the PBR algorithm works, which I think would be kind of fun. Okay, well again, I don't really know why you'd have a metallic soil, but I guess we'll leave it, because it doesn't really hurt anything. Okay, so metallicity, smoothness, specular tint, got occlusion. I think I'll just take away emission just to make things a little simpler. And yeah, no custom lighting here. And I mean, I don't think we have to have a specific cull mode either. So yeah, I can get rid of a lot of this stuff. Okay. No custom lighting. Yeah, no alpha. Alright, so yeah, different main light shadow types. Additional light shadows. Screen space ambient occlusion. Reflection probes. I guess there could be decals on the soil itself. Okay, so this is all fine. So this, I just need to change this to sprouting dot simple forward lit pass, I think. So yeah. Okay, so again, Shadowcaster, default. Yeah, no alpha cutouts. Okay, depth only. Oh yeah, no alpha cutout again. Depth normals. And the meta pass. Okay, so it should. Oh, is that not how you do the syntax for the header? Oh, okay. Yeah, you just type. You don't put it in a string. Okay, so why can't it open these files? Couldn't open simple Shadowcaster pass. Oh, yeah, it's all simple lit. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes when you make a change to a shader, the errors don't update correctly in the console, so you need to kind of click on the actual shader file and you'll get up-to-date values there. So now what it's saying is that inside each of those include files, they're all trying to include the simple lit common file, which they can't find. So I just need to, first I need to change this stuff so I don't. Oops. Then here, I just need to change it to simple lit common, basically on all the files that I just created or went through. Oh, the simple lit passes, this is actually obsolete. That's when I was trying to include everything into one pass, so I can delete this one. And there's no custom lighting, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, so after this it should... Yeah, so now it's compiling without any errors. Okay, so let's switch to our test scene. And I guess I'll leave this one how it is, but I'll make a new one, or a copy. Let's just call it rewrite test. Okay, so now when I put this on the soil. Okay, so it actually had two versions, but I'm gonna just combine them. Hey, Sprite Creator. What am I working on today? I'm working on my grass system. I'm trying to basically simplify it and kind of well, I guess not really simplify it. I'm just kind of rewriting the shaders to be a little easier to manage because there's like a bunch of different versions of every shader, so I'm hoping I'll be able to combine a lot of them into one like big shader. So I'm kind of experimenting with different ways to do that right now for my grass system. But yeah, here's my grass system in motion. So how it works is there's like a fake camera that raycasts down onto the ground and finds a bunch of places to sprout grass, and then another shader actually draws the grass blades. So that's what's happening here. But yeah, so I'm just trying to clean it up. And I'd like to try a new system for the wind, but we'll get to that later. All right, so here, let's give it... Do I have... Let's see if I just already had some ground textures that were put together. Are you excited for the wind? Yeah, I think it'll be cool. Right now, I mean, it works okay, but the normal doesn't really get recalculated correctly, so I wasn't really happy with like the way the highlights look. Because what I really like is, you know, when you're looking at a bunch of like a field of grass and the wind is like making it move in waves, you can see like specular highlights kind of move in ribbons. So I kind of like to recreate that effect. So, but in order to do that, I need to have the normal vectors get recalculated correctly when the wind changes the shape of the blade. Okay, so yeah, I was hoping I already had textures ready to go for a relatively nice looking soil, but it doesn't look like it. I use like a shader graph here to handle that. Yeah, some of these pretty old. Okay, well, I guess we can just make it real quick in Substance Designer. Okay, I think that's probably the best thing to do. Okay, I'll just call this test soil. And basically, I need to prepare a bunch of textures to have the right format. Okay, that one's more like sand. Okay, this one will do. Okay, so if you've never used Substance Designer before, well, it's unfortunately not free, but it's really the only program like it, so I'm just gotten used to it. But you can, it's just a way to kind of make textures procedurally. So here I'm going to use it to just modify these textures and then combine them in a way that my shader can read easily. So we'll have one texture for the color, the normal map. So what I'm trying to see, it's hard to tell. So normal maps, you have to be a little careful when you use them in Unity, because the green, like Unity wants the bitangent vector to point upwards. So when you have your, so basically you want things to be green. I'm trying to think of the right way to explain it. So when the normal should be pointing like upwards or on the texture, it should be more greenish. But sometimes other programs have the bitangent point downwards, so the bottom side of hills are greenish. So you kind of have to adjust that sometimes. So I'm just going to try and see if I can figure out what looks better. An easy way to change that is just you reverse the green component using a levels graph like I just did. Yeah, it's hard to tell with this specific one. Okay. Okay, I think this is correct, because you can see these little pieces of wood or whatever. So this part should be risen, so here you'd expect the normal vector to be perturbed towards the top of the texture because it's sloping. And you can see it, we have greener edges on that side. So yeah, I think I did need to flip the normal vector there. Okay, so now I just output it as normal. Hey Gowie, I hope I'm doing good today. I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, I'm a little sleepy, I guess, just because it's the end of the week, but I've gotten a lot done, so that's always feels good. So this is roughness. So whenever you have a roughness texture in Unity, you need to flip it, because Unity likes to work with smoothness, which is 1 minus roughness basically. So you can use an invert node to do that. And this is occlusion. Okay. So our final texture is, we have color and normal, and the final one is for the metallic. So it's metallic, ambient occlusion, and then the blue component doesn't have anything, and then the alpha component has smoothness. So in order to do that, we can use an RGBA merge node, which basically just merges 4 grayscale outputs into one texture. So red is metallic, which we don't have any metallic here, so oops. I want a uniform color. So we'll just feed black into the red. Yeah, I have to say it's a grayscale. And then green is ambient occlusion. Blue is nothing. And then alpha is smoothness. Okay, so those are our 3 textures we'll use for this soil. Let's save it. Oops, this is the wrong project. That's fine. And I need to export. Okay, so the color is always in sRGB, but the other texture should be in raw mode. And I'll tell it to export into the textures. Okay, yeah, these names are getting a little like, I don't really like having a test and then test soil, but whatever. We'll deal with it for now. Okay, so it's exporting them, and then in Unity, so color is fine how it is. The metallic texture, you need to turn sRGB off, and then obviously the normal texture, you have to mark it as a normal map. Okay, so I think finally we can place those into our shader. All right. Okay, so it's way too big right now. So I can just increase the tiling. Oops. All right, so that's pretty good. When you zoom out, you can see the tiling, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, I just wanted to kind of make sure that this PBR rendering worked okay. Okay, so I'm a little surprised that this changes the value, because oh, you know what? I think I did mess up, because I put, oh wait, no, metallicity should be 1 or 0, which it is. So how come changing this? Oh, I put the wrong texture in here, didn't I? I put the normal map. Okay, that's silly. Yeah, there we go. And then you can put this. It's actually a bit too smooth. I think I liked it better before. Yeah, so now there's no metallicity, so when I change this value, it doesn't do anything, which is what we'd want. Okay. So now we're ready. Well, okay, we should go through and clean up all these files to remove the values we don't need anymore, like the alpha cutout thresholds. and emission values. So emission is always nothing, and alpha is always 1. Okay, so it was actually, yeah, it was already kind of working because this keyword was always false, so none of this code was included, but we can just clean it up anyway. Oh yeah, so now for instance, the depth only pass doesn't need to have UVs anymore, so we can get rid of that. Oh yeah, so this needs to not need this emission sample anymore. Okay, I can get rid of this entire section for custom lighting. And the meta pass. No emission. No custom lighting. Alright, and then the shadow caster, again, doesn't need UVs outside of alpha clipping, so we can get rid of all that code. Okay. Hi 3. You think I have an idea how to code in HLSL thanks to how you connect nodes in the shader graph? Well, that sounds cool. You mean, yeah, I mean, you can kind of, if you think of like each node creating its own function, like it kind of fits together. Okay, so undeclared test alpha clip. Ooh. Oh yeah, so I can get rid of that. Okay, so let's look. Does have any errors for me? All right, so it looks like we're all good. Okay, so obviously it doesn't oops. It doesn't sprout any grass yet. So that would be the next item on our list. Okay, so let's take a look here. Okay, so I have this grass depth, but do I really need a separate pass for this, or can I just use the normal depth? because Unity even has like a depth prepass now. Okay, let's see right on. Yeah, I think it's the same. Okay, so I'll need to test this to see if I can just use the depth only pass for this instead of having a separate version for that. Is it possible to show a shader graph code? If you remember, you think there's a button to compile and show code, but you're not really sure. Yeah, there is i3. Let me look real quick. I think I have a shader graph around here somewhere. Oh yeah. Here we go. So you can see view generated shader, and it'll open it up for you. I will warn you though, the code is not very clean. Well, I guess it's clean, but it's not written in a way that a human would. This would be a lot cleaner though if you name all properties and things, but okay, so anyway, oh yeah, that was another thing I wanted to test. Let me write a note. So right now the grass soil mode, let me see here. I think it's actually, yeah, this common. So what it does is whenever it adds a grass blade, it actually adds it to this grass sprouts structured buffer, which is kind of like an array for the GPU. It works fine, but the only thing is, even though I'm not using a texture, since we're using a shader to basically raycast, we kind of have to have, we still have to have some shader for it to, or some texture for it to write into. And I was wondering, like, if I could actually just try to store a bunch of this data in a bunch of different textures, if that would be more efficient. So I don't know. We might try that, but I think I'll only try it after I've gotten wind and everything. So try using textures instead of a buffer for sprout data. And then try using depth only instead of a separate grass depth pass. Unity, I don't know if it's, I don't think it exists in this 2020.3, but Unity did add their own depth prepass, which I wonder if we could use. But sorry, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So what I want to do is add this grass pass. Okay, I can just name it grass sprouting. Okay. So I don't really need to add this stuff. Okay, but it does have to be target 5.0 because it requires a structured buffer, which is only available in 5.0. And then the reason we need these on here is because we want to sample baked lighting on the soil. Okay, so this is let's see. Oh, this was on the meshlet. Oh, right. So the meshlet, the grass blades handle lighting in the material shader, but then on the instance lit, the grass blades actually get lit on the sprouting shader, so we have to have all the shadow keywords. There's a lot of them. Okay, so I guess this stays, although I might change. So what I'm thinking of, I really would like this shader, or one shader, to be used for both versions. Which I guess is fine, but the meshlet version doesn't need to have all these shadow keywords. I don't really know. I don't think it really... Like, it won't really slow down the shader to have all these extra keywords, but basically in your build... Because I think the difference between shader feature and multi-compile is in multi-compile, every like permutation of these keywords is compiled and then stored in your game build, whereas shader feature, Unity strips out versions that aren't ever used. So we would have a bunch of these like shadow permutations for the mode that doesn't even need them, that would be stored in your game build. I don't know if that would actually, like, so basically you'll just have like some extra data that you don't need to. Which is a bit of a shame, but I'm trying to think. I'm just gonna double check that. I think that's the difference. Oh, that's new. It highlighted it for me. The only difference is that unused variants of shader feature shaders will not be included in the game build. Okay, so that's what I thought. And I don't think I can do like... Well, I don't know. Like if I had a keyword here. So what I'm curious about is if I did something like shader feature instance lit, something like that. And then I said like if instance lit, then we include all these, basically everything that's except for light maps. I don't know if it will throw an error there because I don't know if it'll actually do what I want. I guess there's one way to find out. I'm not gonna do... Do we want to have decals? I don't know why you'd want to have a decal on grass. So I think I'm thinking no. Well, it would look really bad instance lit anyway, so I don't know. If somebody wants decals, they can always add them. It's not super difficult. Okay. Do I need... No, I think this is only in the actual lighting. Wait, what's with all the extra indentations? Oh, wait. Okay, no, I think it was fine. Sorry, I know. Kind of going back and forth here. But I think I just need to put the whole thing up like this. Yeah, we only need fog. What's happened to my cursor? Okay, let me restart it. It's, for some reason it's hiding my cursor. Okay, so really we just need shadow mask and then the 2 light maps on. I don't think we need debugging on, because that's only for lighting. So, well, okay, I guess actually we do, don't we? Because if this is lit, then okay. So I was gonna say I can't open this file. So I just need to add something else here. Oops. I need to change this to be an HLSL file instead of a CS file. And I guess for now I'll just leave it blank, because what I kind of want to see is which shader variants get compiled. Okay. Did not find a shader kernel. Oh, right. So I need to give it I just need to do something bare bones here. This one's pretty simple. So yeah, that should get rid of the errors. Trying to see if there's a way that I can see like what variants get. Okay, here we go. A lot. So I think each of these snippets has to do with a pass. So I'd assume this is the lit pass. If that makes sense, because yeah, these other, the Shadowcaster, for instance, doesn't really have any keywords except for the instancing. Okay, and then meta only has specular setup, and then so this never compiles because Unity version is less than this number. So here, so I want to find out what versions are created with this instance lit. So hopefully that will highlight that. Yeah, so let's look. Okay. So there's no variance with that? Well, that's not what I was expecting. Maybe. Okay, so these are just the variants used in the scene. Okay, so what I need to do is turn on the instance lit on my material. Oops. Alright, so I think what I can do is toggle. Let's not do it like that. Instance lit enabled. Okay, so this will start off. Okay, and then if I just turn it on the material, nothing will actually happen, but maybe it will show different values. variance went up. Okay, yeah, so now we can see instance lit. So I just want to make... I'm hoping that there won't be any versions with this main light shadows cascade, for example, because we don't need that. Okay, well no, because here it shows instance lit with additional lights on. Or wait. That's right. Okay, yeah, we don't want any version without instance lit. Which I guess we already know, yeah, didn't happen. Because yeah, see here we can see additional lights with instance lit off. So, that's not what I was hoping for. Let's see. Unity, shader, multi-compile only if keyword is enabled. Let's see. Cannot include the same keyword more than once. I thought there was something that talked about... Oh yeah, maybe this was it. Okay, well, now I'm starting to think maybe we should just have two versions of the shader. Which is, I guess it's not that big of a deal if they can share these HLSL files. I just didn't really want to have to do it because because you have to make sure that the instance lit like matches whatever you use for the material shader, because if the material shader expects data, like lighting data, because it's instance lit, but then the sprouting shader expected the material shader to figure out the lighting itself, then you get some weird artifacts. But so I was hoping that I could just enable like a global keyword that would change like everything to match, but fortunately I don't think that's the right way to go, because it's going to generate a ton of extra shader variants, which will slow compiling down. So, okay. Is this annoying because there's a bunch of different permutations, because like for the sprouting, for the version of the sprouting without a PBR texture, that this has the visible part invisible, we're gonna have to have another shader. So there's like, I don't know, there's just a bunch of different versions, so I was hoping I could cut down on that a little bit. But I guess as long as they all depend on like a small number of HLSL files, there won't be much code duplication. Get rid of that. Okay, so now I need to change this to sprouting, PBR, texture based, and then do I want it to do the instance lit or the mesh lit first? Let's try instance lit, I guess. Okay, so I think what I'll do, right, since this is instance lit, this can and so instead of making a shader feature, I'll just define instance lit. And then this will modify the HLSL file. Perhaps. Okay, so there's also a small amount of code that's common between them. Yeah, basically this grass structure. Oh, I forgot you can't copy. I was trying to copy and paste that file, but you can't really do that in Unity. You have to duplicate it and then move it. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, this is a structure that the sprouting shader basically creates this data, and then the material shader will read it to create the grass blades. So I don't really, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna test doing wind in this sprout shader, but for now we'll not worry about that. Okay, so the only real difference is in the instance lit version, we don't have to include the global illumination data because we just place all of the lighting data in this tint. Okay, so this shader, pretty much I want to be able to put like all the actual sprout data in like a common file, and then so the only stuff that will be in this specific file is basically the only like anything that has to do with reading the textures to determine grass density, because that's would be what's unique here. Let's see, I have this soil common file. Let's see. I guess we can start with this and try to clean it up. It's not too bad, but we'll see. Maybe there's stuff that I want to change about it. Okay, so gonna change this to, oh yeah, and if it's instance lit, then I have to have this foliage lighting, which I'll just leave it how it is now, but I think I'm going to change some code in here. For instance, I don't need this part. And yeah, because I need to add all the new stuff from 2021.2. But yeah, we'll get to that later. Okay, so can I do this? Usually you can put the 2 dots and that tells it to like go up in the folder structure. Okay, so I guess this texture base needs to actually grab from the sprout pass common. Okay, and then I also have this math, which has like random noise and angle axis data. Some of this stuff I don't really need anymore, but like this should only go in the shadow caster. Yeah, this code shouldn't have gone in there anyway. That was all just for the material shader. Okay. Let's see. Valid subscript. Okay, so I'm glad that gave me this error because it means it could read those texture files. Okay, so it's saying bake GI doesn't exist, and that's probably because I need to, you know, do an if-def instance lit here. Like that. Okay, and I want a different function for this. Which I actually found out Unity has their own file to get the view direction, so I don't really need to write my own like I had been. Okay, yeah, I need to change the way the shadow fragment or the shadow chord works anyway. What's wrong with that one? Valid subscript, lit ambient occlusion. Oh. Yeah, and the shadow chord I need to fix. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to get to a state where there was no bugs or errors. There's probably still bugs. Okay, so these indirect arguments, I think we can leave that. Basically what you use this to tell the renderer how many grass blades have been found so far. Okay. So these are all different material settings. So I guess this constant buffer, it needs to also include all of those material settings. So yeah, because the constant buffer should be the same for all passes on a material. Or you'll break instancing. Although it's not really, I don't know. Well, I guess we still could do instancing for the grass pass. Okay, so I guess in that case I need to have another include file here for I guess constant buffer. So this constant buffer is going to be kind of different for every permutation of all these different shader variants. Because like the non-PBR one won't have metallicity. So yeah, basically I'm going to have one file for each type of shader. Or for each shader file. So I guess that's fine, but... I guess I'll just call it properties for PBR texture base instance lit. Yeah. Okay, so now I need to take this out. Okay, this is gonna be kind of annoying. I guess it's not that big of a deal. So basically I'm going to need to include this file in the shader. I think actually Unity does this, so. But, sorry, I'm not really explaining well, but I'll just show by example in a second. So, properties, PBR, oops, texture base, instance lit, included. All right, so we have color normal, metallic, occlusion. Yeah, so we'll probably have more here, but so yeah, I need to include it here. Oops. And then every other shader will basically have its own HLSL file like this. And I'm hoping this will allow me to reuse the actual logic, even though they all have to have the same properties so that, yeah, like I said, instancing won't be broken. Unrecognized identifier texture 2D. Oh, so I need to include the URP core, I think. I think it's actually I think it's the core shader library. Is that not what it's called? Oh, it's common. Maybe I should just do the universal core file then. I think I know one of them has a core. Yeah. It includes common anyway. Okay, and so now it compiles again. Okay. I hope all this isn't so boring, but a lot of, I don't know, complicated shaders. They can get really unwieldy, so unfortunately a lot of time is spent trying to keep everything organized well so you can keep it debugged. Okay. The reason why I did that was because I need to move this stuff. Okay, well this can stay in here because that doesn't matter. But this stuff I need to move into the properties file. What? I don't know. I know it samples a texture to calculate. Oh, okay. That's probably not in the common. That's in, yeah, the specific file. Yeah, I was gonna say it samples a texture to calculate grass density, but that's not in this part. So this is just for like the noise for the LOD. Okay. The culling transform. This stuff is, I'm trying to remember. I think this stuff is global, so it doesn't actually need to be included here. I guess I should make sure. It should probably be marked uniform then. Which I think is actually default, but let me see. So in the C# file, yeah, so the cell size, and then yeah, the culling transform and the soil LOD data. Okay, so yeah, this is like a global value, so it doesn't need to be, it's not part of a constant buffer. But this stuff, I think, is all part of the constant buffer. So this will be grass culling and level of detail. And this is the soil surface. I guess I'll call this sprout. And then we'll have one other for sprout. The rest of it like we have to have color tints and everything. Okay. That would be a good time to change these names if I want to. I guess I should look here on the instance and meshlet files. What's the difference between them? Can I compare? Yeah, I thought I had a little thing to do that. Okay, so this is instance lit and meshlet. Okay, yeah, so the instance lit needs that vertex lighting. And then it has all these other properties. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how come it doesn't have... Oh, I see. So it just calculates the position once, whereas here we need to use position to get the fog factor. Okay. So what I'd like to do is try to make... So there actually is quite a bit of differences between the instance and meshlet, mostly in the vertex stage. So maybe we should have another common file that has like stuff in common between the two texture-based soil. Because most of this stuff is all the same, and it... Okay. Probably what'll be good is I do this, and then I should do the vertex paint mode as well, and just see like what code needs to work between both of them. Okay. Yeah, this still seems... I don't really think there's a better way to do this, but this code is kind of... I don't know, I wouldn't say messy, but like a little verbose, and I don't know if there's a better way to handle it. Okay, well, I don't know if if I really need to have this lit prefix on everything. Some of this stuff is using the wrong or a different foliage shader. I guess I should update that now before I go too far. Okay, let's grab the foliage shader from my completed foliage tutorial. Okay. Yeah, because I liked this version pretty well. And yeah, we can get rid of anything that has to do with the shader graph. Like I said, I want to add a little bit more in here. Like for instance, I definitely want to add support for, I don't know, I guess there's no time like the present. Let's see. If I want to add support for all the 2021.2 stuff, then I need to go back to the HLSL shader and check this file out. Okay, so yeah, we have all this debug stuff. Yeah, then this for ambient occlusion. This one also has like emission, but I don't care about that. Has a few extra things like specular strength. That's fine. Okay, and I have this special function for debugging, which I do like the debug display, so I would like to enable it. Okay. Okay, so there's no emission. Trying to see. So the only differences between this and the other one is that the other had emission, and then this one has the specular strength, and also everything with translucency. It'd be really nice if you could add like translucent, like I could add more flags to the debug menu so that I could say only see translucent lighting, but I think I'd have to do a keyword for that, which maybe we'll do. But anyway, I guess we'll just leave this for now when I can actually, because I can't really test it at the moment, so. Okay, and this is also that it will still work in previous or versions before 2021.2. don't think I need to change any of that. And there's no more shader graph. There were a couple other changes, I think. I think this is the same. I think basically all the lighting algorithms were fine. So I have this debug at the beginning. You know what, I think it'll be easier. Why don't I just temporarily include this file in Visual Studio? That way I can have them open in the same window and like do a diff and everything. Okay, that's fine. Just here. All right. So I just want to check. Well, this is a little different because I have the subsurface, but yeah, most of the logic is the same. Oh yeah, I have this simple little tune shader thing there. Okay, yeah, so the main other changes I think is in this file because I have to debug and then I have to do everything with light layers. So we calculate color. Yeah, and then you calculate the ambient occlusion early. And the light layers that affect this mesh. Okay. Get the light and global illuminations. Oh yeah, I need to change this to foliage global illumination. Okay, so really the only change here is we call this okay, so there's quite a bit of changes here, so I think I'll just copy the whole thing and just remember I changed this back to foliage, light handling. Yeah, and then there's no emissions, so so I include alpha in the foliage one I don't, but I think I'll just go ahead and update it. Pass the alpha through. Float 4. Okay. So let's see. Just check a diff of those files real quick. See if I can see anything that looks out of place. Okay, so we have the two normals. We add some more values there. Okay, and I call it fog chord here, but I think I should call it fog factor, so I think I'll... Or fog chord is the right... Oh, it updated. So I took away emission and foliage. Yeah, so there's a bunch of little changes. I think, yeah, it's all the foliage lighting though. It's not anything to enable more lighting. Oh yeah, so I can get rid of this indef because that was for the shader graph preview. Okay. That's not super useful. So it says unexpected indef at 291. Which its file doesn't even go that far. Okay, so I'm just gonna need to look and see where have I made a mistake. Oh, I thought I deleted this already. Is this the correct? This is the other foliage lighting, isn't it? Yeah, the one. Yeah, the original one. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so calculate foliage lighting. All right, so yeah, so I can get rid of that indef because that was there for shader graph preview. Oh, I don't have an ambient occlusion min on here, but I think that would actually be nice for foliage, so I think I'll put that in. Oh yeah, and then this should be the shape normal. Okay, now it's just saying that these subscripts are invalid now because I changed the name of them, basically. I think I'll just initialize everything to 0 and comment this stuff out, and we'll fix it when we actually have some grass to look at. Oh yeah, so now the calculate foliage lighting returns a flip 4. Okay. I'm wondering, like, should I just have it, you pass the sprout settings and then also a lighting setting so I don't have to, like, duplicate these values? I guess the only issue is a lot of the stuff would be duplicated as well because we'd have like a position in both places, but I don't know, I think that might, and then things like big GI would be the same. But I do kind of like it because then I could, I don't know, I was gonna say then I could have like a common file that would build the foliage lighting. I don't know. I think it probably is the best because I even have all this like debug stuff, and it'd be annoying to have to fill out this on the sprout data as well. Okay, so what do I need? What does the sprout need itself beside, like if it wasn't instance lit? I guess it needs all this stuff. Well, we'll just leave it for now. Okay, now some of the stuff I want to rename. Okay, let's rename this is point out of frustum. Oops, I did this backwards. Now what this does is so there's something kind of weird. I guess it's not weird, but since we use noise functions, small values and world position can change like the apparent, or not the apparent, it changes the random value we get out from a noise function. So I try to snap positions to a grid. That's what this does. But I don't really like the name for this either. So let's snap position to grid. Okay, so this function takes the LED level and then calculates like an alpha value to use when it's dithering, I think. Which the name is kind of strange. Oh, it's not even used. Oh yeah, because I started using alpha set on the material because I gave better control. Okay. This should actually go in the math, shouldn't it? I think I actually got, well, I should have wrote where I got it, but I think I got this from the Unity dither shader graph. Okay, so this function, this all gave me a ton of trouble, but I finally, so what it does is it takes grass, like a specific point, and then it tries to figure out if it should be, or something should sprout there based on like level of detail. So the farther you get from the camera, you can basically sprout fewer grass blades based on that dither pattern. But to make it seem like they're not getting sparser, you increase the size of them. And it usually is not, like you usually can't tell that that's happening. Okay, so I guess while I'm doing this, I should also see if I need to rename any of these variable names, because some of them are kind of not descriptive. Like for instance, that doesn't really need to be its own variable. Okay, I probably want to change some of this as well. Okay, let's see. So should start here, I suppose. So let's see, what does this? The radius do? Okay, so when you calculate the grass LOD, you pass that. Sorry. Okay, so this radius. So is this the? Yeah, I didn't name this very well. Okay, so I think this is the radius for like one level of LOD. And then when the distance goes farther than this radius, then it goes to the next LOD level. Okay, so maybe I should change it to let's leave the old name so I can know when I rename it. So LOD, or let's do sprout, or I don't know if that's much better. Could also use thickness, but I feel like that makes it seem like thickness for the actual like grass blade. Maybe length. Well, I guess radius and length are kind of the same in this. What is this? Okay, so it doesn't appear anywhere else, so I can just do that. Okay, so the LED dither alphas, basically so for the 4 different, now this is, so I've hard coded it so that we can only have 4 levels of LED, basically because we just use a float 4 to have the different like dither amounts. So I could also do that for here, where we have like you could set the radiuses for each level. I kind of was wanting to experiment with that, so the sprout LOD a level radii. Yeah, so now it's 4, and then sprout LOD level dithers. Okay, so let's be a foot 4. Okay, well this does make it a little bit more, because now I have to loop through each level before finding out which one is correct, instead of just being able to divide. So maybe that's not the best idea. But I don't know, it is kind of nice. Well, okay. I shouldn't really mess with it until I can actually like test it, huh? And in order to test it, I need to get the whole system up and running, so. But let's write a little note. Try setting LOD radii per level with a float 4. Okay, so we have the noise scale. So basically, yeah, if you have LED noise feathering, it reads from that grass noise texture and kind of feathers the transitions between the different LED levels to make it even less obvious. So this should be sprout, LOD, feathering, noise scale, and then amplitude. And then I think I also want to, just to be consistent, I don't even, I think I'll do something different for the edit mode, but So do we want to change anything here? Well, these make sense. So this returns is cold, will be cold next LOD, and then the actual LOD level. Okay, I guess that's fine. Okay, well, this is kind of a weird named, but it's like it tests if it should sprout based on like a density value, which basically just does a noise function. I think I'll rename it. I think that makes it a little bit more obvious. Okay, so this like offsets the grass's position based on a tangent and bitangent kind of randomly. And then this finds a growth direction based on some values. So yeah, we take the terrain normal, but then grass, since it grows towards the sun, it tries, you can have an upward bias to kind of like tilt it towards 0, 1, 0. Okay, so this function gets the dimensions of a grass blade. Okay, I guess, I wonder, like, should I name everything sprout or grass here? I guess a sprout, because the sprout is like the actual value or structure that I'm generating here. Okay, so for the dimensions, you have like a base dimension and then like a variance based on that. And then we also need to know some information based on LOD, because if we have this enabled, the grass will smoothly scale upward, because like I said, when you go up one level of LOD, you basically half the amount of grass that's going to spawn, so you make the grass twice as wide to make up for that. Okay, so that's fine. I guess I need to... Oh, I guess all these should be named. So instead of grass, random, I'll change it to sprout, random. Okay, and then here... So, sprout, LOD, width, smoothing, I guess, start. I guess that's fine. So it's kind of like the start value when you're interpolating from one LOD to the next, that it should start smoothing. Okay, and then I do the same thing with alpha, but this is kind of in there as experimentally, because I don't think I do transparent blending with the grass. So should I just get rid of this because I don't think I can. You can't really do transparent blending with the grass because the grass is not sorted, so it would grow out of order. But I guess if you use the alpha to coverage mode, it would work, but then it'd be dithered. Okay, well, I guess I'll leave it. I probably should test. I don't know if it would look very good dithered, but I think that's the only time that is over here. Okay, and this was to kind of test LED levels. But I think I'm going to make a separate way to test that. I'll have to make my own little debug menu. Okay, so this is to get a bend angle. And like a twist angle. Okay, and I don't know about the edit mode. We'll worry about that. Okay, so sprout, tessellation, factors. Okay, and then this, I just want to put sprout at the beginning of all this stuff. Let's see. Oh, that was up here. Or whenever I set the tolerance. There we go. Okay. So here we get the matrix for the grass card. Oh yeah, by the way, all this stuff should be sprout. Okay, so this texture index is we use like a texture array, so you can kind of randomize the texture that's on each grass blade. That's what this calculates. You give it like the maximum number. Okay, so this card matrix, you'd give it a normal and then a twist and a bend angle, and so this basically calculates the tangent to world matrix. But I'm gonna kind of leave this alone because I think we'll come back to it. Yeah, because I want to see about adding wind in here. Because I'd like to calculate wind per blade. But the only thing that's a little difficult is because the tip of each blade is affected by the wind more, so I need some way to kind of interpolate between having wind and having no wind, but then I don't want to have to pass too much data, so I might actually, I've been calling it the tangent to world, but it's kind of like, I don't know, the grass construction matrix. So it's like the terrain tangent to world, but it's what the... I guess it's like object to world, huh? Okay, so this gives us a tangent and a bitangent based on the Crass's object to world matrix. Okay, I'll leave it. I'm not sure why it or what that's used for. Oh yeah, this should change. So sorry. So if you have grass, that doesn't tessellate. So you can kind of pre-multiply the bend angle into it because it doesn't affect the base. So that's what this does. I was kind of testing it, but okay, so here is kind of the magic. So you add a sprout structure, and then it adds it to this structured buffer. But we have to use interlocked add to kind of keep count of how many are in there. And then it also will tell us like the previous values, so we can use that to safely set our structure into this array without having to worry about race conditions, which, since we do this in the fragment function, many of these will be running at the same time. Oh, I see. So now I'm curious, like, do I need to... Like, I don't know if I really even need to have the sprout settings object, because it kind of just... We just pass everything to the actual grass sprout structure. Kind of don't think so, but I guess we'll see. Okay. All right, so no bugs. Well, okay. Well, we got a nice dirt texture up and running, but I think I'm gonna have to call it now. Yeah, thanks everybody for has come along today. I hope, yeah, like I said, I hope this wasn't too boring. But yeah, I really needed to take the time to clean up this shader because it was getting a little messy, I think. And yeah, I didn't really like some of these variable names. And I already, like, just for this project, I already had written like 4 different variants of the shader, so it'll be nice to try and keep like as much code as possible in common between them, so I don't have to, you know, keep track of all these different variants. But I think that'll be it for me today. So yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, I'll put some links in the chat so you can follow me on any other social media. I would check out my YouTube channel, especially because I have a bunch of game development tutorials on there, including the tutorial to figure out my or to create my foliage shader that I showed off here. guess I don't think I... Oops, yeah. But yeah, so next time we'll probably continue on this and hopefully actually get something to display. And after we're done, we'll start doing the wind and all those other little tweaks I wanted to try out. But I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll be back Monday at 2:30 Eastern time, US Eastern. And yeah, I hope to see you there. Have a great Monday, or have a great weekend. Bye-bye.